This is an interesting article from, the Telegraph. Sajid, Javid, unvaccinated people must think about damage they are doing to society. So their personal choice about medication they want to take is now, he is now considering that antisocial. Sajid Javid has said unvaccinated people are taking up hospital beds that could be used for someone else. Now look, you see how the goalposts have changed. It used to be you had to have the vaccination so that you don't pass the disease on. Now they know you do pass the disease on when you're vaccinated. So now the emphasis has changed. You're taking up a hospital bed that could be used for someone else. Well, the problem is this. They are not treating the other people anymore. The people with operations scheduled, the schedules are being put forward into next year. So it's really not as if these hospital beds are being taken up by people when other people could be using them for other illnesses. No, the whole health service is concentrating now on dealing with COVID cases to the complete ignoring of everything else. You can't get to see doctors now. So cancer cases aren't even being referred to the hospital because they're not being discovered by the doctors who will not see them in their surgeries. So if it weren't for the COVID patients, those hospitals would be empty. Of course, the health service would run so well if they didn't have any patients to look after, wouldn't it? Okay, Sajid Javid has said unvaccinated people are taking up hospital beds that could be used for someone else. Speaking on Trevor Phillips on Sunday on Sky News, Mr. Javid said 10% of the population, more than 5 million people, still had not received their jabs, and around 9 out of 10 of those needing the most care in hospital were unvaccinated. And he said, I just cannot emphasise enough the impact that they are having on the rest of society. All right, so it's all your fault if you don't want a vaccination. Look, I am vaccinated and I've taken the booster as well. So I just want you to know that I have no dog in this fight. But if my neighbour says that she doesn't want to have a vaccination, that is really her choice. Now, let's put it this way. If it was something like smallpox, and a vaccination would stop her from passing smallpox on, I would probably be less sympathetic to her attitude. But as it turns out, the COVID virus vaccinations, whatever they are, they do not stop you from passing the disease on. As a matter of fact, they might even facilitate the passing on of disease, because you may be asymptomatic if you get COVID, because you do get it when you have had the vaccination. You can get it. The only thing is you might not realise you've got it. You might go out, you might feel a little bit peaky, but not realise you've actually got COVID. And then you're sort of trailing it behind you like a bride's veil in the wind throughout town. Anyway, I'm thinking of all the other things that you could be avoiding just to stop yourself from taking up a hospital bed. I ride horses. If I fall off and break my arm, then I'm going to be taking up a bed that might be used by a heart patient. One of my sons plays cricket. If he pulls his shoulder out of joint during a bowling session or gets hit in the head by a ball, he'll be in hospital too. Everybody takes risks. We take risks all the time. And saying, okay, if you're not vaccinated, then you're being antisocial, you're taking up the hospital bed that could be used by somebody else, that doesn't make any sense. They must really think about the damage they're doing to society No, they might be doing damage to themselves, but that's their choice. They take up hospital beds that could have been used for someone with maybe a heart problem, or maybe someone who's waiting for elective surgery. Yeah, but they're all waiting for elective surgery for a very long time because hospitals aren't taking patients now. Doctors aren't referring them now. Doctors aren't even seeing them now. I think Mr. Javid should possibly consider those elements before he starts criticising people who just don't want the vaccination and are exercising their human right not to have a vaccination. But instead of protecting themselves and protecting the community, they're not protecting the community. That's the problem with that vaccine. They choose not to get vaccinated. They are really having a damaging impact. Oh yes, blame people instead of blaming the government for, in 2 years, not getting its act together to look after people with COVID. Not putting the resources in, not training the nurses, not bringing the army in. Oh yeah, just blame the people who actually get the disease. Yeah, that makes sense. And I just can't stress enough, please do come forward and get vaccinated. You can ask, you can't blame. That is a terrible, nasty thing. And what's more, it doesn't make any sense, Mr. Javid. Why not treat yourself or a favoured relative or friend to these magnificent examples of merch? The mugs and t-shirts come in the Graniopteryx design or Grambo with a firearm or the more deadly knitting needles. Go to www.graniopteryx.com and whatever platform you're watching this on, please click like, subscribe and share.